Hello and welcome to my first, well, not my first Blender tutorial, but my first beginner Blender tutorial. This is for a friend, also for YouTube. Yeah. Anyways, so if this is for beginners, so if you already know things about Blender, completely skip this. Yeah. If you're coming from SketchUp or any other, well, no, other 3D modeling programs are good, but SketchUp, like things that are non-standard, you might want to watch this. Anyways, let me just mute my microphone. What we have is a cube. If you open a new file, just get the basic cube here. You're going to let me turn on screencasting keys so you can see what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying, but what I'm typing. Yeah, and enable those. Anyway, so to move around, use the middle mouse button. And you just drag. And to zoom in and out, you use, if you have a scroll wheel, you use the scroll wheel. If not, you press Control Alt and right click. I might have changed that. I remember in an old version of Blender they had it differently. They had it like that. I don't know if that got changed. Yeah. But anyways, so we have this cube here. If you press Tab, you can go into the edit mode. If you don't know what edit mode is, you'll know in a second. Edit mode is basically where you change the shape of the object. So you can select one of these points. These points are called vertices. Select them and move them around according to these arrows: the Z-axis, the X-axis, and the Y-axis. In a lot of programs, the Z-axis is actually the one that's if you could imagine it coming out of your computer screen, and the X and the Y and the Y being like up and down, but the Z would be coming out of your computer screen like so. But in a lot of 3D programs, it's just kind of the up direction. Anyway, so you can move things around according to these arrows, or I do not know what I did there. Or you can move them around by pressing G, which stands for grab. Just move them around your screen like that. I wouldn't recommend that until you actually learn how to move it on an X-axis. And I typed Control X again. Yeah. Anyways, so that's the edit mode. I'm gonna show the interface better. Yeah, a little bit better. So if we go up into this tab where it says Add, we get a whole list of options. Now you don't really need to worry about these yet, unless you want to try them. This is of course for a text, and if you accidentally delete your camera, there's a camera right there, then you might need to add a new camera, but let's not get into that. This is a lamp, so it's kind of like a light emitting source. Well, it is a light emitting source. And if we go into mesh, this is where you'll kind of add basic 3D objects, which you can later change. So pretty much everything you see that's made in Blender is based off of one of these objects. Usually it's a cube, because cubes are easy to work with. But here we can see you have a monkey. I'm sorry, I kind of have a cold. And yeah, it's called Suzanne. It's kind of the Blender mascot thing. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah. So you have a list of options. By the way, to delete something, you press X and then press OK to delete it. Anyways, so we have cone, plane, which is just like a square. So cube, circle is also two-dimensional. Something you might want to note about circles when you're adding them in is that over here, if you press T, you'll see that this doesn't have a face right here. That's because the fill type is set to nothing. Now I don't know why that is the default setting for it, but I don't know. But so you would change that to triangle fan, which is where it has a vertex in the middle, a vertex in the middle, not vertice, and everything kind of fans out of it. And then there's the other option, where instead of a triangle fan, it's n-gon, which is basically nothing. It's just a face that uses all of these. Yeah, so you can make like a Pac-Man thing with that. Yeah. Anyways, so if you're wondering how to make a textured solid with whatever you want to do. By the way, to render your image, that would be F12. Or if you go into the render tab up here and click render image. Yeah. Now there's a difference between OpenGL rendering and regular rendering. Just by the way, OpenGL rendering is kind of rendering what your viewport would look like. So say I'm right here and I want to render it. So I'd go to render and OpenGL render the image. So if you want to do anything photorealistic, of course you're not going to do that. You're going to hit the render image button, which is more photorealistic. Now this looks pretty bad right now. That's because we haven't really done anything to it. So something that you might want to do for the ground is add a plane. Now, if we hit Z, we can go in, switch in between our viewport shadings. Z takes you to wireframe and to solid, between those two. So I'd stay in wireframe for this, usually because wireframe is it doesn't take as much CPU power if you have a lot of complex solids with a lot of vertices. You can see your vertices, the vertex count here. I don't know why I say vertices. Anyway, so this scene in total has 12 vertices. And yeah. So you might be wondering how we scale this up if we don't want it to be inside of the cube. Now you can scale it by using these things, by switching from the kind of grab thing, because there's a grab thing, a rotation, yeah, where you can rotate it, and the scaling. But that's not very useful at all because it takes a long time. Just put my 3D cursor back in the right place. And yeah, so that can get annoying to do. So what we use is S, which stands for scale, of course. And you can use your mouse, or you can type in, say, 4, or if I hit backspace, or 8. That will scale it that many times. So 8 matches the grid at the bottom here. So yeah, that's typically what I do if I'm doing a test render of something. I'd have the thing in the middle and yeah, have that as a ground. So let me just check to see if my recording's going well. Okay, I'm at 8 minutes. Yeah, it's recording. Anyways, so now we can jump into texturing it. Now, you might have heard of the Cycles render engine if you've followed Blender at all. I'm not going to do that right now. That's a little bit more advanced with the materials and everything. I'm just going to do the default render engine. Now, a render engine is kind of about it uses different calculations to calculate the shading and everything. And so the Cycles render engine is a very complex ray trace renderer, which means it calculates every light ray coming from the camera to kind of simulate a real world thing, and it's very realistic. But we're going to use the default renderer, which if we render it right now, we're pressing F12, it would look like that. So that doesn't look too bad, but it's not too good either. So if I right click on my cube right here, you can see, I have it with an orange box around it. That means that it's selected. And you might not know what these things are for. By the way, you middle click to kind of drag them around, or you can just use this. But for the top part, you middle click. And you'll see that there is a kind of a circle. That is for material. And this is for texturing, but this is for the main material here. So if we click on that, it'll say new, and if you click on new, then you have a new material added to your solid. So if we render that right now, there's not any difference because the default material, if you don't have a material for your solid, is this. Now you might want to change that. So if you change the diffuse texture, not the diffuse texture, the diffuse material, you can change the color of it. here by clicking on it. And you'll be brought to this. Pretty simple. I'm sure you can figure that out. So if we change the color of that, it'll look like this. So that's good. And if you're wondering why this ball right here, why it kind of has a like a kind of a reflection on it, if you don't want a reflection or anything, you turn the specularity down to 0. The specularity is kind of how much reflections will be off of it. Not to be confused with like actual reflections, like reflectivity, but kind of like how the light bounces and creates, like a light spot on it. You can change the color of this, like say I want it to make it blue or green. The cube, since it only has very small, very straight, small, it's not very like complex. You can't see it on here as you would on a sphere. So if you looked at a cube, it'll just look boring. It'd look boring. But Suzanne, the monkey, as we looked at before, would look cooler. So that's just basic texturing. Now, if you wanted to know how to do something with, say, a mirror, let's just add something like that in. So we'll go into our add, and then add a UV sphere, which is pretty much a sphere. And if it looks if it looks blocky right here, you can set that to smooth, and it won't look as blocky. It won't look blocky at all, pretty much. Let's compare the two renders. So flat, smooth. Anyway, so that looks a lot better. And if we add a new material for this one, then we should, we'll see the default white material, but we can go into this right here if we want to add reflectivity to it. And it says mirror, so you can guess that, it enables reflections. This is ray trace reflections. And if we set the reflectivity up, you can see in your little thing here that it shows reflections, kind of like a preview of what it would look like in the render. And if we look at this right here, you can see the reflection. So that's really cool. I don't have it set at 100% reflective. Now if I set it at 100% reflective, it'd look 100% reflective, of course. But we can change the color of it. So if you want your reflection to be kind of orange, let's turn the specularity down. And you can also change the color here of the reflection. So if you want to make something kind of gold or like a copper-ish color, something like a copper color right here, you could do that. So that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna make it blue. Let's see what the blue on orange. No, it doesn't look good. Anyways, so might want to make it a bit more reflective, though. It's a bit less blue there. There we go. And, so that's pretty good. Now, you might be wondering about transparencies. For this, you can see a tab right here for transparency. I'll just add a new object for transparency. Let's make that, how about the monkey? Yeah, it's a cool one for transparency. If we set the shading to smooth for the monkey, and let's put it right here. So you can see it's blocking that right now. But if we add, sometimes you also have to scroll up here, to get a new material. Okay, so you add a new material here, and of course you check the box that says transparency, turn the alpha down, makes it more transparent, which is good. Specularity, if we change the intensity down to 0, you won't see it at all. You can kind of see it in the reflection. It's weird. But, So, you can also change the Fresnel up. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I don't want to look stupid. And, turn the, specularity down. And, blend. Now, this is just a Z transparency, though. So, it's not really ray traced at all. So, ray tracing means that you're calculating where each light ray will be. So if we want to do that, we can change it from Z transparency, which is quicker, to ray trace, which takes a lot more time. Now let's see this. You don't see much of a difference, but let's turn the Fresnel down to 0. This IOR right here, that stands for index of refraction. So if you know what refraction is, it's kind of the bending of the light, the distortion of the light. So if you look at here, if you look at this on the ball here, it looks like it's it's distorting the light a lot. Now maybe the monkey isn't a good example of this. We can add a sphere, another sphere for that. Scale it using S, and yeah, set the shading to smooth again. Also, another thing that you might not know is that if you click on this thing, not new material, if you already have a material but you want to assign it to another object, we can click on this and we see all the materials that we've created. So the glass material that we made for the monkey before is right here, material number 3. So if we click that, we now have it. And if we look at this, you can see that it's a not very realistic, of course, this isn't a photorealistic render, but a pretty good looking refractive ball. I guess I would say that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. See right there, you can make like a magnifying glass. Well, it's not magnifying, but still, you get the picture. So that's pretty basic tutorial on texturing and yeah, basic stuff in Blender. You can also move individual vertices and everything. So yeah, try it out, have fun, and yeah, I'll probably be making another tutorial for beginners. Maybe on the Cycles render engine or on I don't know. This is animation, compositing, which is basically making your image look better. Game logic, probably not. I'm probably not gonna go into that. Motion tracking for videos. You've seen like the camera tracking. Scripting, which is Python. I don't know Python. UV editing for UV mapping textures, image textures onto your objects so they look good. And video editing. This has a pretty good video sequencer, which I edit my videos with. So yeah, if you wanna edit videos, you're gonna go into compositing and video editing mostly, and also the 3D view. Yeah, be default. So yeah, thanks for watching.